All right, shalom, shalom. This is Brother Kashakwala coming back at you with another lesson, giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Achakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Peace, love, salutation to the elect 144 first fruit. Today's lesson is going to be pertaining around carnality and how you shouldn't be carnal. Now, I know this is a topic that really doesn't need to be reiterated. It's just at this point, it should be common sense. But, you still got to remind Jake, look, cut that carnal shit out. All right. It never gets old for exhortation and admonishments. Okay. It's just trying to pull individuals out of the fire. That's it. So this is Matthew 26 and 50. I'm going to jump right into it. And Yahweh Shai said unto him, friend, wherefore art thou come? Then came they and laid hands on Yahweh Shai and took him. Verse 51, it says, and behold, one of them which were with Yahweh Shai stretched out his hand and drew his sword. And we understand who stretched out his hand and drew his sword. It was Peter. And to prove that correct, I'm gonna go ahead and get the scripture where it specifically says Peter. Let's see. I think it's John. Let's see. John 18:10. It says, then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and smote the high priest's servant and cut off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. All right. So going on, it says, behold, one of them which were with Yahushua stretched out his hand and drew his sword, Peter, and struck a servant of the high priests and smote off his ear. And we understand that that servant was Malchus, and an individual who cut his ear off was Peter. And it's important to know the specific names of who did what during this you could say altercation, because they laid hands on Yahweh Shai to take him. All right, but it wasn't his time to be taken yet, because he had it was all right, Salakia. So we have to know the specifics of who drew his sword out and whose ear was smote, and you can go to the different gospels and link everything up. Okay, so it says verse 52. Now the reason why you want to know it's Peter, because he was a disciple of Yahweh Shai. All right, and Yahweh Shai told him, okay, he told the disciples, man, I swear he did. He told the disciples in John 4. All right, he says, but the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. He didn't say in flesh and carnality, because carnal just means like of the flesh or of the blood. All right, so that's not what he said. He said in spirit and in truth. But what was the first thing that Peter just jumped in and did? He got carnal. Simple as that. So verse 52 says, Then said Yahweh Shai unto him, put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Now let's go back to John 18 real quick. All right, so it's John 18:10. Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and smote the high priest's servant and cut off his right ear. The servant name was Malchus. Verse 11. Then said Yahweh Shai unto Peter, put up thy sword into the sheath. All right. The cup which my Father hath given me, shall I not drink it? All right. So Yahweh Shai, he told me, hey, anyone who kills with the sword, die by the sword. And look, man, I got a job to do. Why are you interceding with it? You're quenching the spirit, man. You're intercepting the spirit. You're being a speed bump. That's not what I need. These things must happen. All right, because Yahweh Shai is fulfilling prophecy, and he had to rebuke Peter on that. Like, man, what are you doing, man? Put the sword back. Okay, let whatever's happening, because it's the spirit that is allowing it to happen. Now, if you're always carnal or in the flesh, and you have a worldly mind frame, you're not allowing passage for the spirit to flow. All right, and that's very offensive to the spirit. Okay, this is is it Galatians? Let's see. No. Let's see. It might be Ephesians. Bear with me real quick. Yes, Ephesians 4:30, and says, "And grieve not the Holy Spirit of the Most High, whereby ye are sealed unto the day of redemption." Okay, let's get that word grieve. All right. Grieve meaning to make sorrowful, to affect with sadness, to cause grief. All right. To offend. You are not to offend the Spirit. And one way that's something that's offensive to the Spirit is not letting it do what it needs to do. Simple. You're in the way. It says to make one uneasy. When you make something uneasy, it's uncomfortable. It doesn't want to be around you. So if you make the Spirit feel like that, it doesn't want to deal with your ass because your ass carnal. Okay. It says to distress, cause grief, and be in heaviness. All right. When you're causing someone grief, that means you're a nuisance. You're irritating. You're agitating. You make people livid and angry. All right. You ain't supposed to do that with the Spirit. Okay. So this is Romans 8:5. It says, "For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh." Of course. If you claim to be in this truth, but you just keep doing fleshly things, well, God damn it, you in the world. You just gonna stay in the flesh. You know, if you stay in the flesh, that's ultimately death, which we're gonna read. So it says, "But they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit." So we mind the things of the Spirit, and we understand the Spirit is everlasting. All right. So the things that we mind are internal. If you're in the flesh, the things that you mind are temporal, which in turn will make you temporal in the sight of the Lord. Meaning, he's gonna whatever. You see? So verse 6, it says, "For to be carnally minded is death." Simple as that. If the first thing, like Peter, the first thing you're thinking about is pulling out a carnal object to defend yourself or to resolve a situation, then you are minding the things of the flesh, and you're very carnal and just straight up. You're just a carnal being. You have no fear. You don't believe. You have no patience, long suffering, all these characteristics that we constantly push. Humility. You have none of them if the first reaction is to get carnal with somebody. Okay? Of course, if someone puts their hands on you, yes, you defend yourself. Okay? You defend yourself. But even so, in that case, you're still defending yourself in the Spirit. You are never the one to initiate carnality. Okay? You are never the one to initiate carnality. If you are, you need to reevaluate yourself. And quite frankly, if you're that individual, you're putting other brothers in danger. Because if you're acting this way now, how are you going to be in Jacob's trouble? You see, the first thing you're going to do in Jacob's trouble is call out positions of where individuals are at. If you're with certain Akim, you're not going to know when to shut up. Being wise is not denying the Lord. Simple. All right. Now, when we read about Peter denying the Lord 3 times, what did Yahushua tell Peter? That he was Cephas. He was going to be the rock, the foundation of the church. Just be real. Was it a wise thing? Even though it was in the heat of the moment that Peter was doing it, and it was prophecy that had to be fulfilled. But was it a wise thing for Peter to deny Yahushua 3 times? Yes, it was. Because if he didn't, he would be on the cross right next to Yahushua at that very moment. And then who's gonna establish the church? You see? Yahushua had it to where Peter was the number one in charge after he left. Now, if Peter didn't deny Yahushua, what was the point of him being Cephas? No, Yahushua had it to where Peter denied him for a reason. Yahushua ended up coming back anyway and asking Peter, "Do you love me?" 3 times. And we understand that Peter did. Okay, he did, but these things must happen. Him denying Yahushua 3 times was giving way for the Spirit to do what it needed to do, to set Peter up to do what he did in the book of Acts. Simple. Okay? You got to be in the Spirit, though. The Spirit will make you do things you don't understand and reveal it to you later. Straight up. But if you're acting off of carnality, and it's a very, very, I won't even say thin line. It's a very obvious line to where you're being carnal as shit. Because a brother who's in the Spirit and has a high level of discernment can just sniff it. It's like, bro, like, you off. You're hella off. You need to check yourself. Okay? I'm going to read Romans 8:5 again. It says, for they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. Verse 6, for being carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Okay? Let me read verse 7. It says, because the carnal mind is enmity against the Most High, for it is not subject to the law of the Most High, neither indeed can be. All right? Verse 8, it says, so then they that are in the flesh cannot please the Most High. So if you have so many, say if a brother, if your name is in the mouth of brothers and it's always some, carnal, or you've been reproved for being too prideful, or, bro, you need to follow the Spirit, you need to check yourself, because you are living in the flesh. And you see it right there. The flesh does not please the Most High. As we read in John 4, the only way you can please the Most High is by worshiping Him in spirit and in truth. That's simple. If you're of the flesh, you're going to be excommunicated. Here's the word excommunicate. It says early 15th century, from Latin, late Latin, excommunicatus, past particle. Yeah. It says put out of the community, meaning you're going to get kicked out of the body. Simple as that. Because you have become detrimental to individuals. You have become not an asset but a liability, and you've become real dangerous to the livelihood of other Akim. Simple as that. To expel from communion. All right? To expel from communion. Being excommunicated is you ultimately being profane, meaning outside of the temple. Okay? That's simple. You are kicked out because you want to be flesh and you want to be carnal. Check yourself and make sure that you're in the Spirit and you're doing things of the Spirit and you're listening to the admonishments and advices that individuals who've dealt with the Spirit for an allotted amount of time are giving you. Okay? So if you're carnal, or the first thing you run into is the flesh, you need to check yourself, or you're going to get excommunicated from the body. All right. So, Lord willing, this was edifying. I'm going to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaChakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule and teach well. Peace, love, salutation to the elect 144 first fruit, Brother Kasha Kuala. Lord willing, this was edifying. Until next time, I want to say shalom.